And I'm sorry you're going to get this side of my head quite a bit because that's just where my screens are. All right. So there are speaker controls, there's chat controls. If you have any questions, shoot them over to me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a little bit of tour of a couple of the super important parts of 365. I could literally teach this for a solid week. There's so many cool things in there. So what I'm going to do is focus on what I think, based on where all of you are in our deployment, is going to be most important for you to know. And I guess I need to shut that one down. And God, every phone I have is ringing. I'm very sorry about that. Okay. So based on that, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm not going to cover specifics to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but I will teach you how to do one online, how to save it, how to name it. So just keep track of questions. Let me know. Feedback's great. And if I have to do a different round two next week, and cover some of the other things, I'm happy to do that. Okay? Okay. Morning, Andy. So first things first, I'm logged on to 365 as myself. The disclaimer is you get to see it in real time. So nothing bad usually comes in an email, but you never know what's about to come in. I chose to do it that way because I think that a fake copy isn't as real, like, oh, look, a document could be here if you had one kind of training. So here you're going to see that we actually use this all the time, every single day for every single thing that we do. So we'll do a quick demo and a quick tour, and we'll go from there. So Office 365 has two components to it. The first component is just plain old Microsoft Office, the way you've always known it. It's installed in your desk, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You open something, you create it, you save it somewhere. That part really hasn't changed. The only part that really is going to change in there is where you save it to. So historically, you would save it somewhere. Some of you may not know where you saved it and hopes to find it again. Some of you may know that you put it on the H drive. There's a big mix in every company that I support. But here, what we want to make sure you do is that we save it to OneDrive. And that's the only piece about Microsoft Office that's going to change for you. Once you're in OneDrive, it's files and folders like any other place you would put it. But the difference is OneDrive saves it on the cloud. And what that means is you can get it from your desktop. You can get it if you're working from home. Who knew this would be so important right now, right? We designed this in case people wanted to work from home someday, and then this happened. So good timing for this deployment, I suppose. An example of how I use this is I basically have three machines. I'm here in the office. I have my machine at home, and I have a laptop that travels wherever I happen to be. And no matter where I go, all of my documents are always going to be there. So what I'm showing you right now is just Office 365 logged in. This is my default screen. You can technically change this and put anything on here, but I wanted it to be kind of the pure Microsoft environment. Notice here I can start something new, add new icons. We've got Outlook, OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, SharePoint, all these great things. So let's add some meaning. Outlook obviously is your email. It should look exactly like Outlook on your desk. Nothing should ever be different about the two. It's just web page version versus desk version. We have OneDrive, the magical OneDrive. This is where all of our documents are. Now, I have OneDrive synchronized on my PC as all of your installations should be. So even if I'm not on this web page, if I was to bring up Windows Explorer, where you typically see my documents, all your files, all your folders, there's OneDrive there too, and all my documents are mirrored. So I'll make sure to show you that. You've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint. These are just an online version. I would say they probably have a good 80% of the features that you're going to need, but sometimes you just simply need other features. I was reviewing a complex document with table of contents and all these other facets to it, and I had to open in a regular Word to get those tools. But for your standard line of work, it's all in there. OneNote's fabulous. It's like an online notebook. Um, Everything I do for scratch notes, an example, I've got a client who needs better internet bandwidth. I'm working with all these different providers, getting them quotes, trying to find the best way in a very complicated location, and I can't retain any of it, so I put it in OneNote. It's kind of like the messy notebook that I write in every day. So we'll show you some of that. SharePoint is going to basically be the organization intranet, so just for employees of the town of Manchester by the Sea. So what I already have up there for you is documentation on the new versions of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. When I'm done with this, I'm going to take the recorded file and upload it so everyone can go there as well. So great stuff in here. Teams is just a giant chat. And my organization, we use it all the time, especially all working from a different location. So very quick tour on the top level icons. We'll dive into it a little bit deeper, but everyone good so far? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to click here on what they call the tiles. It's the same thing we saw on the start screen. That's it. But the only difference is here I can hit all apps and I can show even more. Honestly, for all of you, for right now, the default set is all you've got, so it's not going to be much more exciting. For us, because of the things we're involved in, I have a bunch of other ones. So let's do this. Let's take a look at OneDrive, the infamous OneDrive. So this is the web page version of OneDrive. So I could be doing this from anywhere. I could be at the public library trying to work remotely because my internet is out. Well, I guess we still can't do that yet. But I could literally be anywhere, and I can log onto OneDrive and see everything. So you'll see I've got all my files and folders. They really don't look any different than Windows Explorer. If I go into customers and I drill down through, you'll see you all have a folder here, and it's all the different things that we've been doing for you that we've been working from. So I can drill down through and look at any one of these and just open them on letter. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Perfect. So I did a mail merge. You all got a copy of it, or hopefully got a copy when we first cut over. And I said, dear so-and-so, here's your username, here's your password, here's the schedule that we're going to form. If you'll notice, I just opened this up. This is my working document. It gives me the name of the document. It's got your basic ribbon commands. So everything here is very similar to the regular version. So if you happen to be on a machine that's not your work machine, it might be a tablet, it might be something that you have at home because it's all you've got. You don't need to install the programs. You should just work off the web page. If you find that you're working on this and you actually do need all of the tools, which in this case I would because mail merge isn't all here, you can open it in a desktop app. Please tell me if the screen does not show because I can only show one letter at a time. Can everyone see Microsoft Word, or are you still looking at the web page?
Looks like it's trying to load.
What happens is I have to pick which screen I'm working on. Okay, I think that did work. Okay. Sometimes if I change screens. I'm going to close out of it. I'm going to resume editing here. It's really that simple. So you can use the online version, you can open it up in a regular version, and both are going to work just fine. Questions so far? We have what's called context-sensitive menus. So you'll see here we have new, upload, share, copy link, etc. Notice the second I click on a document, all of these new options appear. So you're only going to see what applies to what you're in the middle of doing. So if I decide that I want to share this with somebody, then I can click here, I can click on share, I can enter the name of this person.
Sandra, I've lost your screen. Is everybody else still seeing the screen?
Nope, I just see
I'm
Sandra.
seeing participants.
just-
That's all I see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Let me
we've
see.
lost your screen.
Is it back?
There it is.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. As I said, it's very odd. Every time I change screens, I kind of have to go back into the meeting and it's, oh, whatever. Okay. So context sensitive, in case you didn't see it, nothing is selected. I've got a small set of tools. If I was to click on a document, notice I have a bigger set of tools. So you're only going to get menus that apply to what you have. If you're trying to delete a document, you got to click on it first and then the delete tool is going to appear. Okay. We also have share. So when I click on share, there's a couple things, and this is going to be what I would consider probably one of the most important pieces for you to pay attention to. So I've typed in Sivan. I got some echoes going on here. Notice the
I
default.
apologize.
People in SJB Enterprises, Sandra Network, with this link can edit. If I click here, I can say anyone with a link. So this is if you're sending it out publicly. Now understand the word is link, not a copy of the document, but a link to the document. So if you give them editing ability, that means they can click on the link and they can edit the document. Okay? This is anyone who's got the link, but they have to work for me. They have to be part of Sandra Network. We have people who already have access, or I can say specific people like Sivan. And notice there's a choice of allow editing on or off. Be very careful when you send these out. It takes a while for you to kind of remember to look at everything. You know, you don't want confidential information accidentally being forwarded outside the organization. So you want to put some thought into it. Okay. We also have an ability to block a download. So if you are emailing something sensitive to each other, that really should stay within the town of Manchester by the Sea. Make sure that you've got specific people, that you pick them, that you block the ability to download, because once someone downloads it to their computer, you have no more control of it. Okay? You can also add a message here. And I'm just going to hit send. Now, what's super nice about this is if she accesses that and opens it up, I immediately get a document that says, Sivan opened the document that she shared with her. If she never opens it, she's not paying attention, she's going to get emails to say, hey, remember, Sandra shared something with you 7 days ago and you haven't opened it yet. So there's a lot of that going back and forth. What's also super nice is you can technically work on documents together. So if I was to create a brand new file, okay, and with this file, I'm just going to say, I just said new. Please help me edit. So I'm in OneDrive, I clicked on new, I choose Word. Notice it's saving it under this weird name called document. So believe it or not, the one thing that's not obvious, I don't think, is you got to click on it and give it a name. Okay. So that's all I needed to do. I'm going to hit share. I'm going to type in Sivan again. Can you please open and type hi? This would be the one time that she's just left for lunch, right? So I've created this document. I've shared it with Sivan. The link has been sent. What's really neat is if she gets this link on the other side, I'm going to see her name pop up over here at the top right of my screen. You're going to see her right next to my face, and it's going to be saying Sivan's editing, and she'll be in a certain color. I can actually see her cursor click through the document, so we're actually working on it together. So these are the features that I sell all the time when I'm doing these deployments. And when I started this path with Manchester, again, we had no idea COVID was coming and that we might actually all use this. So you could be working on documents with people even though you're all at your houses, and be able to work collaboratively together. What's also great is if she pops up here, we can have a little chat going. I can see exactly what she's typing. It's all color-coded. It's actually kind of neat. I didn't warn her I was going to do that, so we'll give her a minute. We'll flip back and we'll see if she types anything in. All right. Warning's everything, right? Questions at all so far? Oh, look, she's here. You see that up here? All right. So Sivan just popped on. There's her cursor. I am here. So again, we see she's here. We see her green cursor. If she continues to type, I'll see it, and she can see my cursor on the other side. She'll see Sandra, and then I'm down here with a smiley face. You can do this in any application in Microsoft Office. So I use it in Word, Excel, PowerPoint. We work on documents collaboratively. During normal times, I can see Sivan. She's 8 feet that way, but we still work on things back and forth in this way. I did a collaborative presentation with my web designer who does not work for me directly. We did a whole PowerPoint presentation, even though he's not part of Sandra Network. Same thing, I'm working, he's adding to slides. And there we go, you see she's typing and not me, okay? So it works great. And in these times, I think it's something that's gonna help all of you. Let me just answer her back. And the only thing I have to do is I have to close the document. So you'll see it's already saved. If I click on File, notice there is no save. It just saves in real time. As fast as you type it, it's done. The only thing you have is Save As, where you give it a different name and put it in a different location. So that's the one freaky thing. It's kind of hard. I always like to save. There is no save button. And here, I'm going to close out of it. And you're going to see that it's right here, test training document. It's got a little icon. You can still see the screen, right? Okay. You can tell it's new. I worked on it a minute ago, and notice it's covered. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you. So far, so good? Okay. Most important thing here is if you're going to share a document, please make sure you pay very careful control to everything that's right here. It can be as secure as you want, and if you're not paying attention, you could make it as not secure as you want. Here, more options, manage access. So if I decided I did not want her to have access to that anymore, I could go in there and I could actually remove her permission. Okay? Couple other controls, open, share, copy the link to send it. You can download a copy, you can delete it, you can rename it. We can move it. So if I was going to move this to, notice my OneDrive, and I can start going through all my folders and places. Okay. I'm going to switch gears for 2 seconds. And I think I'm going to have to reshare a screen. So let's just see. Reshare. All right. Can everyone see File Explorer now? See Windows Explorer?
Yep.
Okay.
I see a screen. I assume that maybe that's what it is.
Okay. So this is Windows Explorer. Normally what you're looking at is you've got your documents, you've got your pictures,
Right.
you know, all your standard folders. Well, if you look down, there's now something called OneDrive. So when we installed Microsoft Office to your computers, it put this in there. So in OneDrive, if I was to drill down through customers and I was to drill down through Manchester, you're going to see there's my test training document. So I'm not on the web page. I'm just running regular Windows, regular Explorer, as if that had never happened. So this is to show you that it does synchronize it. Now, if I'm working off of this copy and my connection is cut, then the next time my network comes back up, it'll synchronize it with Office 365 out on the internet. So you need an internet connection. But I've got this on my laptop. I get on a plane, and I used to get on a plane, and I work on everything. And as soon as I get to a hotel, I plug in, it all uploads, and I don't know any different. So it really works quite well. If I was to right-click on this document, again, not in the web page, just on regular Windows, notice I've got the OneDrive icon, I've got Share. So I don't have to log on to the portal. I can do everything from right here. Okay? And lastly, I'm going to start up regular Word. One second. Just takes me a second to get the okay. So again, just pretending we're working as usual. We don't have the web page open. Everything's good. I'm running in Microsoft Word. I'm going to type a document. I know I'm supposed to send it to OneDrive. If I go to File and I go to Save As, notice OneDrive is right there for you. And it's the same list of folders. So all you really have to do here is to be conscious of where you're starting. Now, I have my team working with all of you. I don't know how many they've got to, how many are left. I don't have that accounting. But what I'm having them do is to move all of your documents off of the server, off of the H drive, off of wherever they can find them into OneDrive. So when you start using this, if you haven't already, you should be able to click on OneDrive and see all of your documents and folders that look familiar to you. Okay? So Office 365 is everywhere, and it's wonderful. Any questions so far on OneDrive and how to look at folders, whether in 365 or locally or within Word? Are you all confident that you can find your documents?
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you drag a folder from like, say, your previous My Documents folder, whatever, like the whole folder into your OneDrive to just have it now be on OneDrive, or you have to do it individually? Okay.
So you can drag a folder right onto the web page. Let me just see what I'm sharing with you right now. I never seem to know. All right, I think I got that. So right here on the web page, if you're opening into the portal, you can drag a folder right in. See if I got a good one. Yeah. So right here, I'm assuming you can see that it's highlighting. I've just grabbed a folder off of my desktop and I can drop it. Okay. Likewise, if you're using Windows Explorer, if you're not logged into the web page, if you're just looking at the regular view and you're not logged on to portal.microsoft.com, if you drag it here into the OneDrive area, it's also going to upload as well for you. It doesn't matter which way you pick. Any other questions? Okay. Awesome. So that is
Actually,
basics on one. Oh, go ahead.
So DPW has like a share drive that me and Chuck and others that use. It's the W drive. Are we going to have some form of OneDrive that we can use for that purpose?
Yes. Now, that can be done one of two ways, and that's going to take a little bit of discovery in order to determine what's going to make the most amount of sense for you.
Okay.
The first way is if I was to look in my files, as an example, you will see that I have a human resource folder. That's my folder. I keep things and all my employees in there, but Sivan being my right hand, needs access to that folder all of the time. So it's actually shared with her, but it's my folder and I can control it.
Yep.
And I can decide who gets to see it. So the first way to do that thought is if any of you have the, or need the control, kind of the master control, then all you have to do is to create it and share it with the other two, okay?
Okay.
And I'll see here, as I'm in OneDrive, you'll see shared,
Shared. Mhm.
and there's shared with you and shared by you. So here, shared with me are all the things that Siobhan has shared with me, and I can access them at any time. Okay?
Okay.
The other way that it can be done is SharePoint. So think of OneDrive as your own personal stuff, and you get to determine who gets to see it and what they get to do with it.
Mhm.
SharePoint becomes more of a group repository. So in example, I'm going to bring up our SharePoint site. It's not too exciting. This is like the cobbler's kids who don't have any shoes. This is my SharePoint site. I build better ones for people. Can everyone see the SharePoint site?
Yep.
Yep, okay. So here it's like an internal website that I have with my staff, and we have a document library, and this is all of the stuff that all the engineers are sharing. Okay, so this isn't like the HR where I'm sharing it to Siobhan and that's it. This is an actual whole web page dedicated to the engineers on staff, myself, Siobhan, anything that we all kind of need access to. So we can create SharePoint sites, one for all of Manchester, but we can also create mini sites for departments. So if DPW says, listen, you know, we'd love to have a calendar and we need a document library, and what about a news feed or a chat? There's hundreds of widgets we can put on here, hundreds. It's actually kind of fun. Then we could create your own SharePoint site, and you can all just work off of that all the time.
Sandra, just a follow-on question to that. Can you also do it for people not on staff? For example, our planning board has been asking for a site where we could share documents rather than emailing back and forth. Is this something that you can provide access to for board members?
We can. There's going to be two ways to do it. One of them is to send a link to have security so that if they have the link, they can get in. The other way is to secure it with kind of a generic username and password to let them into the SharePoint site. So we can put a little more thought into which way is going to work best for that.
Okay.
Is it just documents back and forth where they're uploading or viewing or downloading?
It would I would say it would be primarily documents. I can't think of other things that they would need. Emails we're already, yeah, I would say documents.
Now, do they need to just download the documents, or do they need to edit them?
I don't think it would be typical for them to edit it. We could, although that wouldn't be a bad thing to have in some instances, but primarily applications that they could read and not necessarily.
Okay.
I think our first choice is just be able to have a site where they could all see the same thing.
Okay. So if we were to do something like that, I'm just going to pick this folder for Angela, and I'm going to go into share. You can say anyone with a link can see it. I have security here that's off by default. I'd have to actually change controls for the whole organization. But if you had one folder and you said anyone with the link, then they would be able to click that link at any time and see all the documents inside of it.
And can you put folders inside of folders? So if I had one planning board folder, but then I had a folder inside that folder for applications and other,
absolutely.
plans and okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
So this might be a good way for us to start. But as it develops, if we decide, or if you decide, it's not my decision, that they need more, then we can reevaluate it and maybe put like a SharePoint site together. Okay. Do notice here, by the way, you can set expiration dates and you can also set a password. Because if you're going to send it publicly, you want to make sure that you at least have something on that folder.
And is there some certain, does everyone need to have a certain capability in their computer to get this?
Nope, they just follow the link. And again, because it's all viewable online, they can see it online. So the only time it gets a little weird is if they're Google Suite people and they try to bring it into G Suite. Sometimes, depending on formatting, G Suite has a little bit of a problem, but that's more of a Google issue than, but here it should preview it just fine.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, awesome. All right, so Outlook, I think you all know how to send and receive email so far. I assume you're going to be good here. Don't need to do a whole lot. Oh, if you'll notice here, SharePoint Online, Sivan Surgut successfully accessed the document. So just to kind of show that, okay? Word, Excel, PowerPoint, they all work the same online. Just to kind of show you, once you know one, I mean, yes, obviously you need to know PowerPoint in order to create a PowerPoint presentation, but I just kind of want to show that you're naming it the same way. There's no save button. You know, you could save as, but everything you're doing here is going to be on OneDrive.
So,
all right.
Sandra, buying the Harbor Master here. Sorry, Microsoft Access. Is that going to be available?
Yes. So Access is one of the unique programs where there's not an online version of it. It has to be installed on your desk locally.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Microsoft Project is another one. There's a project online. It's horrible, but if anyone needs that, that's, you know, there's a couple of them. Okay. I'm going to briefly show you OneNote, and then we're going to move to Teams. Now, excuse the mess, right? This is my friend introduced me to the term. Sorry, my house is a mess, but I live here. That's what I'm going to talk about when it comes to OneNote, okay? So OneNote is in here. It is the most underutilized, misunderstood application, and I just like people to know what it does. So if you think about a notebook we all went to school with, the 5 subject notebooks that were bound and you had the dividers, it's kind of like that, okay? What it's not like is this. I carry this everywhere I go. It's got hundreds of pages of miscellaneous notes that I never see again when I'm done because there's no organization to it. OneNote is different. So I'm just going to pick on one of mine. I'll do this one, I guess. So I do a lot of traveling, and I use OneNote to track a lot of my trips. And I do this for a couple of reasons. For one, I can never remember. I can remember that I saw someone at a certain trip. I can't remember what their name is. Maybe it's that, what hotel did you stay in? I don't remember, like whatever those kind of details, right? So back to the, sorry for the mess, but I live here. All you do in OneNote is you copy and paste and type. I can click here and just type in great trip. I can literally drag documents right on top of it. Let's see if I've got it. There you go. So I just took a file out of Windows Explorer and I clicked and dragged, and it's copying the photo there. Okay. So this to me becomes that messy notebook that's actually a little bit organized. So now let's look at the structure. Channel Partners Philly. Here's the conference info, link to the registration. Here's more information on the conference. Boy, it's really slow today. Come on. Don't make me a liar. You know what? I don't always use the online version. I use the local version. I have a page for my Amtrak reservations. I have a copy of my Amtrak tickets. So I've created these little sections for everything. There's women in the channel, an agenda. I'm about to share my other notebook because this is just synchronizing to show me. But I'm able to do this for every single trip. So now we go to Nashville, which was sadly just canceled for COVID. I've got the same kind of structure there. You know what? I don't know why this is lagging on this one. Let me bring up the real one. The human disaster here. Share. Oh, that works a little bit better. Now, can you see my OneNote? By the way, this is the version. This is the difference between the version on the web page and the locally installed version that I use on the computer. Okay, so that's it. The difference, like Microsoft Word versus the web page version. So here's my conferences that travel again. I was supposed to be in Nashville this past month. Here's my Grand Ole Opry tickets that just got sadly refunded. Conference and hotel details. There's my flight details. So I'm able to kind of organize this in a notebook. So if I was to take another trip, I guess we'll call it staycation. Menu choices. So notice I'm typing a title, it comes in here. It's what is in the fridge. I can add a page to organize it. Choose. All right. But it's just kind of to show you that you can create these notebooks, add pages or sections to them, like again, the notebooks that we all went to high school with the 5 different subjects. And we can organize accordingly. You can cut, copy, paste, give yourself to-do lists with checkboxes, drag things onto the page. My favorite thing about OneNote is if you look at a file print menu in Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, I'm on a web page, it doesn't matter. I can actually print things right to OneNote. So let me see if I can find subject matter does not match, but we'll get there. Can everyone see my email from the Lynn Chamber? Okay. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Print. Under the printer, way at the bottom that no one notices is Send to OneNote. Now it's going to ask me where in OneNote, so I'll put it under my entertainment menu because it's the page I'm on, but I can navigate anything else. And notice it's on that page. So I use OneNote for everything. Now you can see with the conferences and travel, I book a ticket, I print it to OneNote. I book a hotel, I copy and paste it to OneNote. And again, this is my conferences and training. So these right here are all different notebooks. This is my running work notebook with a gazillion projects that I've got going on and copying and pasting and just like, you know, the stack where I showed you talking to different vendors because, you know, this one said this one said this, got to call them back. I have another notebook with all my vendor information. You know, just the little stuff you can't retain anywhere else. So you're looking up the name of someone that you spoke to. My marketing programs, office notes that are internal. I've got all my personal notes in there. So that's got everything from knee surgeries to Aflac claims and recipes. Okay. Now the trick is with OneNote, if it looks like something you might use, how you start it is pretty simple. You go to New. You make sure you save it in OneDrive. OneDrive has a default folder called Notebooks. Put it there. And then you give it a name. And that's all you have to do to start a notebook. Just pay attention to where you save it, like anything else. It has to be, oh, you can invite people. It has to be saved in OneDrive so you can get to it from anywhere. Okay? And kind of like the web designer, here I'm working on my website updates. Marvin, who does all my websites for me, he's got access to this page, and as fast as I type the go fix this, he fixes it on the web page. We just work off the same document. Good? All right. Last but not least, teams. I'm going to share it. Everyone see my team screen? So you'll like it. I'm about to do a demo. Keep it clean. Not that we don't, but you know. So you're going to see here that the first thing Dave did was just post a silly picture. Up here, someone was asking about drive bays, and I pasted in the when it's going to show up because it was delivering. We have this office chat. I think it's been long running for every person that works for me. It's probably a year old. And if I want to find something that I was chatting with someone about a year ago, I can click up here and search, and it's going to actually find it for me. Okay? I couldn't remember a Wi-Fi password the other day, and I knew it was in Teams way back up from October, and I was able to find it. In Teams, we have the office chat, everyone that works for me. One-on-one with Sivan, one-on-one with David, Paul, Andy, Robert. So these are just chats between all of us, or one-on-one. Notice I can create groups. So this one, I was talking to Dave, Paul, and Sivan about something in particular. So we had a little chat going on for there. You can create as many of these as you want. Now, what I like most about Teams, other than everything, is you can see she's typing. When we do this, it's copy, it's paste, it's transferring documents back and forth to each other, it's the history. But the fact that this is also in a program. So a lot of times people try to text my engineers when they're on site. It'd be very easy to get Paul's cell phone number and to text him when you have a problem. The problem with that is he may not be with his cell phone, he may not be working to answer his cell phone. So we don't, we love Teams. Okay. I forgot she clicked on the meeting as well. There's no I in Teams. So anyways, we have this running feed. I don't even use everyone's cell phone. We have Teams on our cell phones. So if I want to contact anyone on my team during the course of a day, I just hit it here. The program looks just as good. We've got it loaded. It's not going back and forth in text. It's in one location. By the way, it's backed up. It's secure. And with the whole public records thing, if you're using Teams and it's in Teams, we can pull it off of backups if you ever need to pull any of those data and you don't have to pull people's cell phone records. So how you use it is up to all of you. But we find it's a lifeline, and we wouldn't do it any other way. Internally, I think we've probably cut down on 90% of the emails we send to each other. It all goes in Teams. So at the end of this training, I might post there. Training is over with Manchester. They had these questions. Can you look into maybe how to deal with their board members? I think this is a great idea. We'll have a whole conversation about it right here in Teams. So it can be very helpful, especially with everyone in a different location. And simply put, we click a new chat. If it's not something you've already got going, you can type in their name. Maybe I want to try a unique group between Sivan and Paul and go from there. Okay.
Just another plug for Teams. This is Chuck. Nate and I have been using it with some of our consultants because just about every engineering firm out there has their Microsoft suite, and they can share screens and go over reports and video and everything else with our consultant without bringing them in. It's not just internal Teams. It's anybody with Microsoft.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And just to really show that here, if I was to click on this, you see I can do screen sharing. So if I wanted to show my office something on my screen, they would all get it. And again, because I've picked the office group, but I can also do an audio call, computer to computer. We can also do a video call. So every Friday, now that they're all remote, we hit video call. We do a video chat, just like what I'm doing with all of you. And that's our Friday afternoon staff meeting where we kind of recap the whole week. We do it all in Teams. The only reason I didn't do it here is just I wanted a call-in number, and I had a larger thing with the Ring Central meeting. But otherwise, Teams is the way to go. So
I don't think we have the
I wanted
call
to teach you Teams
capability.
Huh?
I was just saying, I don't think we have the call capability because I tried calling other people and you can't, there's no keypad, I guess, I don't think, at least on our version.
No, that's actually correct. So Teams is going to be computer to computer audio, but there's no telephone number. So you can't call in from somewhere else. You have to have the app loaded. You can get a specific office license and bring in a third party and to kind of get that whole thing to work, so it works that way. It didn't make sense licensing-wise for Manchester, but we are in the middle of evaluating and pricing out new phone systems, and you'll have that ability with your new phone system.
Nate, is that how you reached me this morning?
Yep. Yeah, just hit the audio button and that's what it came up, it dialed you.
Cool.
Yep.
So Teams is great. I can't imagine not having it and running this business. We do everything here. And just to show you, your basics, you could format, you can do delivery options, you got your emojis, you could put GIFs. I'll just pick the first one just so that they're there. Stickers, all the childish things that we still all do because they're cute and they're funny. But there's tons of them in here. One of the other things that you can do with Teams is I'm going to click here on Teams and notice we can create different ones. And I see kind of the history of what's going on. We can have calendars for an entire team. So there's a lot of different options. Now here for the office team, notice we've got our posts. Again, this is kind of more of a running history. We can see files. So we can technically have a team document library here that we all communicate with. It doesn't make as much sense with the office team, but it might make sense with maybe even for the DPW if you want to create a team and share files and do everything this way. Teams also has an ability to add other apps. So this is a wiki. You can create, in this case, your own wiki articles. But if I was to hit plus, notice all of these applications can be added. So you might find that Evernote, which actually is a great application, is something that your team can use. So if you add it, I don't want to actually sign in right now, but you can actually add it, and then you would have an Evernote tab over here. There's whiteboard applications. There's all sorts of them. So we tend to focus more on chat because that's where we spend most of our time. But if you go to Teams themselves, you can really start creating a working environment for you to work with your team, share files, whiteboard ideas. Evernote is a list app. I used to keep my grocery list in it on my cell phone, but there's tons of them. So you can have some fun there. And if anyone needs to create or wants to test a new team, we can create it from the admin console for you and add the right people into it, and you can have a blast. All right. Last but not least, we talk about SharePoint. SharePoint is the basis of everything. It's the technology that OneDrive uses. It's the technology that SharePoint uses. I just want to say that because here we have this open in SharePoint. We can take it as far as not just creating a team for you with document libraries, but we can open it in SharePoint itself and create that whole website for you like I was talking about. I can put all sorts of widgets on here. And anything you do in Office 365, we back up. You don't have to worry about that at all, as long as it's in 365. Questions? Okay. So a lot of information for the hour. I do realize that. General idea of how it works is what I'm looking for, things to be careful of. If you know you want to set up a team and that looks like something you want to do, email support. We'll set up a ticket. We'll walk you through it. We'll make sure it's all done the way you need it to be done. Show you how to test it out. Okay? Anything else?
Sandra, so I could do that with you. So I'd put in a ticket for setting up a planning board share site? Or is that
I'd
something?
just say planning board document library.
Yes.
And then we can kind of look at all, because, you know, it's Microsoft. There's 100 ways to do everything. So a couple comments, a couple questions, what you're trying to do, what you want them to be able to do, and then
Okay.
we'll set it up the way it needs to be set up.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Everyone else good? All right. Well, like everybody else in this world, I really can't wait for this to be over. And I'll be on site to say hi in person at some point. But we are here for you. And any of this you want help with, you just let us know.
Your firm has been great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We certainly try.
Yeah, great.
Paul, I'd like to point out Paul in particular, since he's the person I've most worked with, has been out of this world.
Thank you. He's a good one. We like having him here.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me sad right now is that my office looks like this.
Right.
Empty. He adds
It'll
some
be back.
character when he's in the office for sure.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
But yeah, see, that's where he lives. God, I can't even point to webcam. He usually lives where all those are.
Right.
Anyways,
Off to work. Thank you.
all right. Have a great day, everyone. Hope it was helpful.
You as well. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.